Welcome back to Foster Care, an unparalleled journey with Jason and Amanda Palmer, where our mission is providing strength to the weakest among us, from both kids in foster care and their biological families. We also talk about topics that affect all children and families. It is our hope that we can inspire you to become the best bio, step, foster, adoptive, or whatever kind of mom or dad that you can be. Part of our mission is inspiring others to become amazing foster families as well, if that is your calling. If it's not your calling, great. Find a thing that sets your soul on fire and go be awesome at that. Let's make our communities great together. Be sure to go by Jason M. Palmer and check out the blog post and other podcast episodes. You can search Jason and Amanda Palmer on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else you get your podcast. If we don't show up, be sure to send me an email and let me know, and I will try to get it on there. We'd love to have you leave us some feedback in the form of a rating and review. It really helps the show gain attention. Hi, and welcome back to Foster Care, an unparalleled journey with Jason Palmer. There's no Amanda here today. It's just me. The other day I was contacted by Mark Savant from Lifestyle Savant. He's got a podcast and a Facebook group online. Go check him out. He got a hold of me the other day, and we hooked up and decided to do a quick chat about all things podcasting and social media related, and talked about our journey in the foster care arena and with our podcast as well. Here's the audio from it. Make sure you go check him out and give him a like on his Facebook page, Lifestyle Savant, and check out his podcast too. Also, while you're online, be sure and check out jasonmpalmer.com and look at our Facebook page, Foster Care, an unparalleled journey, and give us a like. And check out the content, leave us some comments, and let us know what you think. We hope to see you soon.
Jason, welcome to Lifestyle Savant. How are you today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm quite excellent. Getting into the groove. I'm really excited to chat with you about podcasting. You've got a new podcast that you just started up pretty recently. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, my wife and I have done foster care for a number of years, and we were looking for an outlet to be able to try to push that along, take the next step. And one of the things that we came across was doing a podcast. You know, we have stories on stories on stories. And I have all kinds. Well, you can probably hear the kids in the background off and on because I have a house full of them. But no,
definitely been there.
Yeah, but yeah, we have a lot of stories, and not just the horrible stories. If you go to Google and type in foster care stories, like, you're going to hear about, you immediately auto populates with foster care stories goes wrong, and that kind of thing. But we have had some of the most amazing turnaround stories. We've seen some kids go through, just real horrible situations, but come out the other side healing. I hate to say unbroken, because you don't get to take the scars away. That's one of the things we've learned about with a lot of the trauma-based parenting information we've learned, is that there's only so much you can actually do, but you can do something. You can help these kids begin to heal. And these stories are just so inspiring a lot of times, because you don't hear them. You hear the horror stories. You don't hear the stories about the mom who was drug addicted, right? And Amy's story is the podcast that we have out right now. And she was, when the cops kicked her front door and put a gun in her and her husband and her kid's face, put them all on the ground, and they went to search, and they found roughly 3 ounces of meth. And I don't know if you have a grasp of what that is. I didn't either. I had to ask around a little bit. I'm guessing street value in our area, that's $7 to $10 grand worth of meth in your pocket. Yeah, she was a dealer. She was a full-blown dealer, and she told her story, and she talks about how she went through the addiction in her teen years, how she ended up in manufacturing, how she ended up selling it, how she ended up eventually losing her kids into the foster care system, and then her husband is doing a 10-year sentence in jail, and she's on that long road back, because her road to redemption, though, took her through hell, but she walked the steps to get her kids back. And that's the inspiring part, because now today she's been clean. Actually, I saw her on Facebook the other day. She posted she's been clean for 3 years now. She hit her 3-year date. She's working a couple jobs. She's taking care of her kids. She went from somebody who was highly addicted, somebody who was selling, somebody who was doing all the things that's putting her kids and her family in danger, to being a productive member of society, who has herself gone out and gotten a drug counseling certificate. She wants to work towards helping people. That's why she's telling her story today.
Well, I think it's not only really admirable that you're stepping up and being the foster parent for the kids that need it. I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that need awesome dads like you to step up. But what I also think is really cool is that you're able to leverage the podcasting platform to share your story, to change the narrative. How powerful has it been for you, Jason, to be able to share your story via podcast?
Oh, and that's the thing. We have so many stories. One of the real powerful ones that's real short. We sat down to dinner one night, and our little girl, who was, she was probably 3 or 4 at the time. And we sit down to dinner, and she said, "Hey, who wants to say blessing before dinner?" And she sits down and she folds it. She says, "I do." She folds her cute little hands and she bows her head and she says, "Dear God, thank you that my new mommy and daddy haven't died yet."
Oof.
Talk about suck the air out of the room.
Yeah.
I mean,
how old was she?
She was 3 or 4.
Oh man.
Her and her brother watched their father murdered.
Oh,
so
that's horrible.
And that day, that was a long day at work. I had some frustrations and whatnot. I thought I was having a bad day, right? I sat there in that moment, put my head down, thought, "You ain't had a bad day, brother.
Yeah.
You ain't had a bad day."
Well, it's funny, the things that we often take for granted, like having a parent around that are not witnessing a vicious murder. Like it's amazing the things that we take for granted. That's remarkable. And I think it's really admirable that you're taking that extra time. Grant, you told me a little bit before the show that you got a bunch of kids in your house. You got how many kids in your house now? 5?
We're just down to 5.
Down to 5. So just down to 5. And you're still finding time to get online, promote your Facebook page, promote your podcast. How do you find the time to manage all of that?
That's a good question. Little points throughout the day. And to be honest, a big piece of it is my wife. My wife is awesome. She puts a lot of the content out. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see a lot of the content. It comes from her. She's subscribed to a lot of things. She looks at a lot of those things. I don't find that time in a lot of parts of my day. But, so we work together. And between the two of us, that's what's allowed us to come together to be able to share a lot of these, a lot of the information, a lot of the inspirational things to help people understand the importance of foster care. I think I saw a statistic today in the American Center of something psychiatric. I don't know. AACAP was what their website was. But I think the number was something like 500,000 kids in foster care.
Wow.
500,000 kids.
I never would have guessed it's that many. That's remarkable. Holy cow.
In the US. So, and I actually, I think the article was dated the end of last year, middle of last year, something like that. So the number may have grown a little bit since then, but there's at least 500,000 kids out there. So, it gives us the opportunity to reach out into the social media, reach out into the podcasting world, reach out and talk to people who otherwise might not have heard these stories, and reach into their soul and decide, hey, is this something that pulls my heartstrings? I mean, because I'll be honest, if it's not your thing, if you're not interested in trying to help a kid who's been through some rough stuff, man, I don't want you to do it.
Oh yeah. I mean, becoming a parent is no joke. It is a full-time job, very much a selfless job. So you've got to be in, I think, the right mindset to jump into it.
Absolutely. But if it is what sets your soul on fire, my God, I hope I can ignite one of those fires, because we've had about a little under 20 kids come through our house, I believe. If I can convince one person, there's 20 kids who find a home. Think about how that extrapolates out. That's the power of this microphone and the social media. I think is that we can make that change across the world. I was sharing with you earlier. I was looking at the statistics on my account, and it tells me I've got downloads in Colombia, in Brazil. I have downloads in Morocco. I don't know what language they speak in Morocco. I guess somebody hopefully speaks English. Otherwise, they didn't understand a word of it. But I mean, the UK and the Netherlands and Germany, I mean, the reach is worldwide. Yeah. But that's the power, is that you can reach out and you'll never know who you touched today. You'll never. That's
amazing. And that's one of the cool things, like you said, in this unique time period, you can reach someone all the way across the world from your cell phone sitting in your car. It's unprecedented. And it really blows my mind how blessed we are to live in this unique time period. I'm curious, Jason, and you've had quite a bit of success for such a young show, only being out a few months. What strategies have you used to try to reach people? Because that can be a hard part, is telling people, I have a podcast, you should listen to it. How are you getting the message out there?
Well, honestly, that you're dead on. That is not one of the hard. I think that is the hard part. It's the hardest part is figuring out how to get people to pay attention to it, and how you measure success. I really don't know, but I'm involved in a couple groups, a couple dad groups online, and one in particular that's got a pretty good core group of solid guys in there. So I could reach in and say, hey, anybody in here interested in this? I have this thing, but that's been one of the few places I've had to really reach out. Other than that, I created a couple Facebook pages, and I'm putting, just posting it out there, putting it on my personal page. Hey, this new episode's up today, and maybe somebody will click on it. And I've had a few people that I know that outside of that, who might have seen a post I put up somewhere and who call and ask, and but really most of it's just been random posts to my Facebook pages.
What about real life? Are you meeting with people in real life, going to events, going to functions? I found that if I go to a function and I kind of talk and shake hands with people, I see a nice boost in my download numbers. Is that something that you've leaned into at all?
We haven't even tried that yet. I work a 55 to 65 hour work schedule. My wife, she works a 40 to 50 hour work week. We have 5 kids at home. Yeah, at some point, I'd love to figure out how to kind of turn those numbers around a little bit and have time to go out and do some one-on-one meeting people. That would be awesome. But I haven't had the opportunity to really leverage any of that yet, because most days we're just struggling to make sure the kids are in bed before they get too awful crazy.
Yeah. I think for me, that's been one of my goals this year, is to actually get out of the house and meet people at least once a month. Go to one function a month. Bring some business cards. And another pro tip, if you're able to get there, is to actually interview people for your show. That's been something that I found to be very effective. If I can go to a function, my main show is all about fatherhood and celebrating fatherhood. And if I can go to a function like a park or a game or an event, and I can interview dads there, that's been a really powerful thing. So that might be something to consider to incorporate into your
we've had some real fortune with getting some people to come on the show. As far as reaching out to people, I find that the biggest thing is just asking. I saw one guy on Facebook today. He had some dad centric stuff, and I was like, hey, man, this guy knows some things. I want to pick his brain. I wonder if he'd have, if he'd at least email with me and answer a couple questions. I shot him an email this morning, said, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. I'd like to have an opportunity to talk to you for a few minutes if you have time. And 30 minutes later, I get an email back. He says, actually, I'm in the office today and I have a few minutes. Are you free? I'm like, yeah. But it's one of those people that, you've probably seen him on Facebook or on YouTube. He's got some real big following out there. He's been on the Steve Harvey show. And so to be able to talk to somebody who's had some level of success, who does talk to somewhat in the foster care arena, he does motivational speaking as well. But to be able to pick somebody's brain like that, and it's really just a matter, I found, of asking. I get in the dads group and just say, hey, anybody in here interested in foster care? Ever thought about doing it? Have done it? Adopted kids or been adopted themselves? And every week for the last several weeks, I've had people lined up to interview for that show.
I think it's important also to note that this is a very, very, very special period in time. We might not always have this type of access. We might have more, we might have less. I don't know, but I could go onto Instagram now and I could message anyone. I could message The Rock. This is unprecedented. This has not been a thing, and it might not always be a thing. So I think it's really smart, Jason, that you're striking while the opportunity is there, while the iron is hot. Last question before I get into the final question here, Jason, where can people find you? Where do you want people to go to find out more about this project that you're working on?
The easiest place you can find me is on the website. It's jasonmpalmer.com. And I went out and just got my name because, well, it seemed to be the best thing. I've got some different pieces of it there. But if you go to the homepage there and just scroll down, the podcasts are there. I've got a blog on there as well. So if you want to look for me on there, it's just jasonmpalmer.com.
Brilliant. And I'll have some links here in the show notes. So final question before I let you go here, Jason. What's your vision? What's your grand vision for this podcast? If it could be anything, what's your goal for this podcast?
For the podcast, what my wife and I have really decided is we really just want to find a way to serve the community in a way that it's not being served right now. And our mission is kind of been, we've stated our mission as providing strength for the weakest among us. And whether that is a kid who needs a home, who needs a safe place to stay, whether that is encouraging other people to create these great homes for kids to stay in, or it's reaching out to some of the parents who've found themselves in the depths of some problems and have the foster care system in their life and giving them the support. At the end of the day, it's really just trying to provide strength to somebody in that situation so that they can take care of those little kids and get them into the right place. Because if we don't, as a nation, take care of those kids when they have this huge trauma in their life at a young age,
yeah,
I promise you, we're going to see them again.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the news. It's going to be in the jails. If you look at the numbers, something like 80% of all of jail inmates have been in the foster care system.
Yeah.
50% of the homeless have been in the foster care system. How can we prevent a lot of these big problems? That's a huge part of it. And that's our piece, is trying to create a culture that's willing to go out and put ourselves in a tough spot, do some extra work, maybe a little extra pain, but in order to create a culture where the world will thrive.
I love that. And that is probably one of the best reasons, my friends, to start a podcast, is to spread a message of positivity to create change. Really love that.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's what we've come to decide is kind of our goal for now. It's our purpose in life right now, besides actually taking in kids. But, to be able to, I can only do so much.
Yeah.
I can only do so much. I saw a post the other day of a woman who'd had something like 200 foster kids in her house over the years. She was an older lady. Oh, yeah. An amazing story, right? But if I can get 10 people across the nation to go create a foster home and do what we've done already,
yeah,
there's 200 kids right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next 10 people doubles that. So where there's power in doing it. I want to do it because it's part of what we really believe in. But I also want to encourage others to step into that role as well, because, man, I've gotten more out of it than I'll ever give.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm very excited, very, very excited, Jason, to watch your project evolve and watch you reach and touch more and more people every day. Much respect, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate it, Mark.
Thanks to everyone for listening all the way through. If you're trying to find us on a specific podcasting platform, just search for Jason and Amanda Palmer, or Foster Care, An Unparalleled Journey, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or anywhere where you find your podcast. You can also download it so that you can listen wherever you're at, even when you aren't online. You can find us online at jasonmpalmer.com, where you can read our blog and listen to all of our previous podcasts. If you have a story that you'd like to tell on the show, please send me an email at jasonmpalmer@yahoo.com. And be sure to put podcast in the subject line. Or send me a message through our Facebook page at Foster Care, An Unparalleled Journey. We'll see you next time.